Welcome to Chapter 11, Supporting Notebooks. So in this chapter, we're looking at specifically considerations in supporting notebooks, the different types of notebooks, how to configure, optimize, and troubleshoot specific slots and ports, as well as peripherals, and maybe even look at replacing and upgrading internal components. Not just notebooks, we're going to be talking about laptops, in general, all-in-one computers, maybe some tablets, and we're going to finish it up with some troubleshooting. So a notebook, also known as a laptop, is a portable computer, and they come in a variety of variations, whether they be a tablet, a notebook, a netbook, a laptop. They're all clever different ways that rename a mobile computing device, but these are going to be based off of features. Does the laptop weigh under a certain weight? Does it have a dedicated keyboard or does it not have a dedicated keyboard? There's all going to be variations depending on the item that you have. And depending on the variant that you do have, it may be called something different. Netbook versus notebook versus laptop. So let's compare the two. A laptop and a desktop are essentially the same thing. The big difference is the laptop or the notebook is mobile. It may be smaller. It may not have the same modularity, meaning it may not be able to be as upgraded as the same as the desktop, but for the most part, it handles everything the same. So one of the nice things with laptops is because they're mobile, they're getting thinner and lighter. Common ports on a laptop are going to be, first of all, let me grab my pen. We're going to have power. We're going to have several different types of USB typically. Normally USB are going to be the most important. Normally you're going to have either a VGA or HDMI. Very rarely will you have both, but sometimes you do. You'll also have a wired Ethernet jack, and you should have card readers. On the other side, you may have a cable lock for anti-theft, speaker and microphone ports, and maybe an optical drive. Maybe. One of the important things in dealing with laptops are warranty concerns. And that's going to be things like, who do you contact? What warranty service options do you have? Will they come to you? Is it on site? Do you have to ship it to them? Is it shipped to an authorized service center? Is it phone support? Is it 1 hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it next business day? So warranty concerns, it's going to be dependent on what you want to pay for. Normally there is a service tag and serial number on a laptop that should show its model and serial number. That way you can easily track down warranty information on them. You also have things like their service manuals, um, things like that. A lot of people will end up discarding because you can always download these manuals from their website. One thing that the manual does do is it will provide basic maintenance tasks that you should perform to make sure the laptop is running optimal. That's always a good idea. You could also be looking at some of the software that may come with it to help determine components that may help diagnose software which may be produced by the manufacturer. For example, Dell actually does sell a Dell repair slash recovery slash diagnostic software tool. So it just kind of depends. I know PC Doctor is purchased with normally like Lenovo's and HP's. But again, normally you can contact the manufacturer for a diagnostic tool, and they're more than likely willing to give it to you. So we have an OEM operating system build. An OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, meaning the operating system license stays with that device, not the user. So the OS build is customized for a specific install, normally has proprietary drivers. That's subjective. And you should be able to upgrade the drivers without issues. So normally with OEM builds, like let's say you purchase a Dell, you may also have a recovery partition, and they may also provide you with recovery disks. Normally these are hidden, so you cannot get rid of them. Normally they're provided by the manufacturer, they're pre-set up for you. That way there's nothing that you have to do. Here we have a recovery partition that should be hidden. So operating system upgrades, normally you do this if necessary. Normally you upgrade using the OS build from the manufacturer. Again, if you have a Dell machine, let's say you have a Dell Windows 7 disk, try to get a hold of a Dell Windows 8 disk. See if it will allow you to upgrade. So general guidelines with most mobile devices. Be careful touching the LCD panel. Normally you never do this with sharp objects. You do not pick it up by the lid. Be very careful with the lid. Normally look at getting battery packs. Don't pack the laptop or tablet in a suitcase very tightly. Don't move while the hard drive is being accessed. That's dependent on if it has a solid state or not. Do not put close appliances that will generate strong magnetic fields and may disrupt or destroy components in the laptop. Don't connect to the internet using public network without setting the network location as to public. That way your laptop can be safe. Use passwords. Use strong passwords. Be careful of the temperature of the laptop. Make sure your laptop's OS is current. Don't smoke, drink around it. Make sure it's clear of dust. Try not to power up and down unnecessarily. Don't run it while in the case, resting on a pillow. We're covering the exits for airflow. We don't want the laptop to overheat. Protect against ESD, maybe use surge protectors. Try not to leave anything in the laptop while it's in transit, like a DVD. Make sure to be careful that you do not get it wet. Cleaning tips: soft, dry microfiber glass or cloth. Do not spray directly on the glass or the screen itself. Maybe look at using canned or compressed air. Use contact cleaner to clean contacts when necessary. Alright, so one thing about laptops is it does have special keys and buttons that can turn on and turn off certain features. Normally they're going to have specialty media buttons like the volume and the screen display and the dual display and Bluetooth, maybe wireless. And normally it's going to be a function key or an FN key. For example, when you hold the function and the dual display screen, you get this. That way you can figure out how you want to display your monitors. Also on laptops, you end up with having a trackpad. You end up, instead of having a mouse, you'll have a pad that you can move your finger across where you can figure out how to navigate the screen using the touchpad. Dealing with laptops, you also have the ability to adjust the track points with the mouse properties. With a tablet, you may end up with a stylus or a pen. So let's talk about add-ons for laptops. Normally with a laptop, you end up with a personal computer memory card international association, or a PCMCIA card. This card comes in 3 types: type 1, type 2, type 3. They all have different sizes, and the purpose of these cards are to be more of like an add-on card. We can increase bus bandwidth. We could be looking at adding functionality. Here is what a PC card slot would look like. The PCMCIA and ExpressCard slots normally are going away. I mean, it's going to be the same thing as like a mobile type device. You have to safely eject them and to remove the card and whatnot, but more and more laptops have moved away from them. So updating ports or slot drivers, normally with any operating system, drivers change, drivers update. So maybe make sure to keep drivers up to date, normally by navigating to the manufacturer's website and again, staying current with them. So now let's go ahead and let's talk about power. How do we get power to our devices? We do that through normally an AC adapter or a battery pack. The AC adapter normally plugs in to charge or recharge the battery pack. The laptop can just run off of a battery pack as long as it has sufficient charge. Normally, we're looking at 110 volts to 100 or 220 volts, depending on where they're at. Batteries consist of lithium-ion technology, and sometimes notebooks can have a second battery. I'm not really seeing a lot of them with second batteries, but it can happen. You can also have power on the go, which will be a DC power converter, which will convert your DC to AC, and then it will then change your battery pack from AC back to DC because your laptop normally runs off of DC. Power management. To help conserve power, your laptop may not run at full speed when on battery, or as the battery starts getting low, the laptop may actually throttle down like things like processor or brightness of a display. Monitor comes in, or power management comes with a standard of most PCs, and there is a configuration in the BIOS between all laptop devices. We have an Advanced Configuration and Power Interface, ACPI, and there are 5 power states. S1, hard drive and monitor turned off, but everything else is running normal. S2, processor is also turned off. S3, everything is shut down except RAM and enough of the system to respond to a wake up. S4 is hibernation. S5 is power off state after a normal shutdown. So do keep that in mind. So how do we expand our laptop if we want more ports, or if we want a full-size keyboard, if we want 2 screens? We could have things like a docking station, where we'll dock the laptop into the station, and that will be pre-set up to give us 2 screens or more. Or we could have port replicators, and that allows us to, again, to connect to a device that will then expand out our capability for our laptops. How do we replace and upgrade internal parts? That's a big one. Normally, we have to figure out if we can. We look at the specific manuals for our specific model, and you should be able to find how-to guides, how to upgrade memory, upgrade hard drives, replace screens, things of that nature. Three approaches to dealing with a broken internal device. First one, warranty. Maybe look at the time the repair will take. Maybe look at replacing a damaged part. Normally, warranty is the big one, though. So let's talk about replacing or upgrading a component. So let's back up in data just in case before we do anything. Just like a regular PC, we're going to ground ourselves. We're going to remove all of the excess cards or DVDs or flash drives or anything like that. We're going to disconnect power, both AC and the battery. We're going to undock it if necessary. Let's assume we're going to upgrade the memory. Well, we would find the correct amount of SODIMM and SODIMM slots, would verify that the SODIMM that we're getting works with our laptop, and also going to look at how large of a module we can get. The modules come in different flavors, so we have to make sure to get the appropriate module. The actual process is the same as a desktop, but again, normally we have to check information like warranty. General guidelines for replacing a hard drive is check documentation from the manufacturer. Again, it may void warranty. Follow the appropriate shopping and standard guides from the manufacturer for purchasing new products for your device. Issues to consider is, what if the old drive crashes? The old notebook may need a disassembling. Is it easy to replace? Here we have one screw that holds a hard drive in, and we remove that one screw and the hard drive pops out. Maybe it's not that simple with newer ones, or maybe it's more simpler. we have to ground ourselves. We have to make sure we have the appropriate tools. Many small screws require smaller tools. So we want to take a step-by-step process. Maybe actually document it as we go with diagrams. Disassembling tips, look at the service manual. Always ground yourself. Understand the connections we're dealing with. Be very careful when prying apart plastic items. Disassemble components in a neat, organized fashion. For reassembling it, same steps, but do it in reverse. Make sure you do not have extra parts when you're done. So if we're doing things like replacing a keyboard or touchpad, again, we're going to be following the manufacturer's details. And you can actually find a lot of online videos that walk you through replacement of common parts for a specific model of laptop by looking up like YouTube, for example, replacing laptop screen or a specific computer. And you'll get videos step by step on how to do it. Replacing an optical drive, same thing. You're going to double check the manufacturer's troubleshooting guides and the documentation so you know the appropriate process, because they're not always going to be the same steps. So if we're disassembling and removing, again, we're going to be looking at the right components and the manufacturer's details so that we know how to remove specific components. Whether it's replacing a processor, whether it is replacing a processor fan, whether it's replacing a motherboard, you're going to follow the documentation as outlined per the motherboard manufacturer. The reason I keep repeating this is because every laptop is different. Every model of the same manufacturer's laptop is different. You want to find the appropriate guide for your device. Replacing the LCD panel, same thing. You're going to be looking at the manufacturer's material to figure out how to easily replace the LCD panel. General guidelines: remove power, remove battery, follow the steps as outlined by the manufacturer. When you're working with an all-in-one or tablet, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be more room because it's going to be more of a mixture between a notebook and desktop, but you're going to be looking at the manufacturer's documentation for specifics. Here we have, again, an all-in-one. You have a little bit more room, but not a lot, so you have to keep that in mind. So how do we troubleshoot these? Again, we're looking for diagnostic tools. You can use diagnostic software to help troubleshoot. You can download tools from the manufacturer's website. So what are some common problems? A common one is numlock is off, or the function key is stuck. No wireless connectivity, that's always a big one. Sometimes it's a physical switch or a toggle that you can toggle with the function button. Sometimes it can be as simple as just turning on your Bluetooth or turning on your wireless because you've accidentally turned it off. Power problems are a big one. Power cords break off in laptops. Batteries sometimes go haywire. Sometimes batteries just go out. So it just kind of depends. Common ones could also be the power adapter cable has been damaged internally. No display, another big one. Sometimes you could destroy the LCD screen, or the cable can be unplugged internally. So tips to solve a lot of these problems is maybe if you have no display, some of this doesn't really matter, but maybe actually try moving the screen up and down to see if you can get a cable connection. Maybe if it's a bad video problem, adjust drivers or adjust brightness, update drivers, things of that nature. That's actually the end of this chapter. I want to thank you.